All right, welcome back, everybody. We have the final war of the season here. It's for Loki versus Matrix, and I am on Path 5-5 again, and I have Captain America, Omega Sentinel, and White Nito. This is Ebb and Flow Knockdown, and I had a choice to bring Torch or Captain America, but I needed Torch's pre-fights, like for this fight, and then like a Mojo who was on Ebb and Flow Knockdown, where they go debuff immune off the knockdown. So initially we, with our other planner, we moved some torches around so we could actually just have torches for all of them. But it just kind of worked out to where I took Captain America and I could just take more fights. That model was easy, just heavy counter is heavy, and then obviously you knock him down, and then Cap does a ton of damage already with his own heavy. And the big SB2 intercept, and it was dead. And here I have White Nito versus Kingpin, and the plan is just to knock him down. And this is usually okay. So the problem with Kingpin is that his rage stacks feed his combat power. So as you kind of hit him, he'll keep gaining more and more power with each hit. But the problem here for him as a defender is that when the protection comes back up, it purifies all of his debuffs. So his combat power never really gets that increased. See, they're all gone now, and I'm like, okay, perfect. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna drop some SB2, SB1s, and SB2s, and he's taking down just fine. He's gonna parry heavy, get the protection back up, and I want to chain an SB1 and then into an SB2, but he's almost dead, so I don't even really need to do that. I debated kind of just killing him here, but if he didn't and he'd be at a special 2, he'd go unstoppable for a while, and that would just be a pain. So he's dead here with a 50k crit at the end. So now I have Mojo, and I did die last war to Mojo with Professor X. You'll see why. On this node, it's much easier to fight Mojo because it's about getting the Fury up to do damage. So in the other node, you're building up, and then you need to drop the protection and get into your damage rotation. Here, you parry heavy with a White Nito, and you're already doing damage. So the reason I didn't heavy there is because I wanted to keep his prowess down. So I combo right there, and I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm like, all right, his shield is his field is up, but I'm doing plenty of damage. And right there, I didn't really do much. I'm like, okay, just gonna parry, get my kinetic charges back up, and I push into an SB2, and I'm like, all right, prowess building up, and I'm like, just throw this. I glance it, still take quite a bit of damage and degen some of that. So I'm like, so my Fury is up now, and I'm like, all right. I throw 2 special 2s back to back, and he is dead. And I got the same fight I fought last war, Storm X on the Power Snack mini and Power Sting when they gain a bar of power. And the plan here is just to heal block her and get some plasmas on her and kind of have her trickle down. And I mistime the SP1 dex, and I get clipped. So I start out like, right here. She clips me right there. And I'm like, man, okay, just calm down. Still have plenty of health, plenty of time, and just dex this. And I'm like, all right. And now the fight actually kind of resets, and I'm gonna medium to heal block her. I'm gonna throw my special 3, and I'm gonna land some plasmas on her, and just kind of have her tick away. So here I'm gonna medium light to pause everything, and she's basically just gonna die. I see that she's ticking away. I'm just gonna let her die off. That was only annoying because I had to heal Omega Sentinel back up, and you'll see I with Kitty here I never have a problem, but I selected the wrong pre-fight, so I don't land a tracking, and you'll see that come into play because I need to get the intercept, and I end up getting intercept there, which is great, but the Fury makes me crit a whole lot more. And I'm too slow on the heavy. She dashes back to Dex and then phases because she's over 5. And I'm like, oh man, I need to make sure that she backs away. I need to beat her block to get her to 1 bar. And she finally does, but now I need her to throw this. And I have 37% health to work with and basically kind of do exactly that over and over. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to knock the protection down anymore because I don't want to crit. And I'll let my Incinerates kind of do work here. So at this point, she has no prowess on my Great. I'll take this into the block. Now, my debuff that I land on her is actually giving her damage. So I probably shouldn't have landed any while I'm kind of building this up. But she throws this with no debuff up. And I take it on the block again. I'm like, all right, perfect. Clear that prowess. And at this point, I'm going to throw my special 3 to land my plasmas. And that way I can start doing some work and see where I'm at with it, if I need to intercept as the fight goes or what's the deal. So I check to see, and she's ticking for 1200 K, which is almost about 3K a second. So I'm like, okay, just pause these. I don't need anything else, but those debuffs are giving her extra attack. So I'm like, okay, just let my armor ups kind of do their work. I don't want to lose that. And here she has 4 prowess, and I'm like, she can phase. So, okay, clear that out. I need to pause these again. And I'm going to pause this and throw an SB2. And hopefully it kills, and it does. So I'm like, all right, perfect. Got out of that. Now I got Black Cat here with White Nito. And she has, this is Ebb and Flow Intercept, but her SIG actually allows her to evade when you're dashing, when she's dashing at you and you dash at her. So what you want to do is you need to hit her and let her charges fall off in order to see how the timer on her is counting down. So you let those fall off, and then it's like, okay, so I'm just going to parry heavy, build some prowess that way. And initially I want to bait SB2s because I don't want the stupid cleanse, but I have the White Nito, so the cleanse won't really bother me at all. And you'll see why the SP2 hurts, because what it does is it places a mechanic to when your abilities fail. It does direct damage to you, and that'll come into play. So here I'm like, okay, push her to SP2 because I don't want that cleanse. Really should have just stuck to the SP1, but I also need those charges to come down. So I'm like, all right, perfect. And now I have that sabotage debuff, and I'm like, okay, see that 5K damage? Because my parry failed, and I'm like, okay, push her back a little bit. Cool, I got a parry there, and I only have 1 more charge to have expire, and that's it right there. So I'm like, all right. And so I'm like, all right, I need her to throw a special, and then I can go for an intercept, and of course I miss a block, and I'm like, I'm in the corner, and I eat a heavy, and I'm like, I get an intercept, but I need her to throw a special, and she does, thank God, right here. I'm like, all right, spacing's gonna happen. I have a Fury, so I'm gonna do damage. And this fight is resetting for me now. I'm like, all right, this is fine now because it's gonna do some work. And she throws this SB1, which I actually take all on the blocks. I'm like, I don't really care. And at this point, I want her to throw it again. I'm not taking any chances here. I get an intercept, and I'm in business now. So a heavy to get that prowess, and boom, non-crit. And she is all but dead. So 19k heavy at the end. And this is a fight I accidentally stole. When we rearranged all the torches and I was going to take cap, I initially said I could cap this if we don't have a torch. But my BG leader brought a torch specifically for this cow. So as I was clearing everything at once, with the energy, it's nice. You can just boost at once. This cow was essentially in my way, but I thought it was mine to take. And the plan is just basically to parry heavy. Here I throw the SB1 because my Fury was going to run out, so I wanted to get the damage from it. But basically just bait SB1s, take them into the block to build kinetic charges, get back to the middle of the map, and just don't keep them in either corner. And get an intercept when I can. I got a cheeky one there. Shout out to Seaton for that remark. And here, just again, block it. My Fury's going to expire, which is fine. And just kind of building up power, and I'm doing good. Under a minute, and he's down 30%. And I haven't even gotten to my big specials yet. So I'm healing with willpower, and I want to get an intercept here. Get one right. Perfect. 5 kinetic charges, and SB2 pushes me to SB3 with my Fury up 2%, and this cow is dead. So that went really, really well. And then I have this Namor. I took this last war. So again, this is placed here because he's conduit. So you knock him down, he gains a conduit debuff. So you want to heal block him. If you use Omega Sentinel, you're going to place a lot of DOT, and the plan is for the defender to reflect that damage onto you. But I already know it doesn't really do that much damage, so I'm not really worried about it. And I'm like, okay, just place that heal block on him and just have at it. I wanted to throw this special too, and he does. Perfect. And I'm just building to my specials. So he's an Imperious Rex now. Throws this. I'm like, all right. I'm gonna heal block him. I think I paused it right there. Add another heal block. He throws this, and he's draining, and I throw my special 3. That's exactly what I want to do, because he's gonna come out of this with power, but since he's an Imperious Rex, he's gonna just drain anyways. So it's a good spot to throw power. I didn't have max pacify on, or else I would have tried parrying and throwing this, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna take all this in the block, and it's perfectly fine. And just keep kind of, chopping down at him. As long as they're paused, it's doing work. That's 3k a tick, 6k a second. I'm gonna refresh my heal block with the SB1 and take all that in the block. I don't care because he's gonna die anyways, and pause everything, and that's it. That's all she wrote. We did end up winning this war. Our MVPs were Clown, FaZe, and myself. Okay, now let's take a look at the final stats on my season. And I was 74-3. Professor X was 22-1. Wags was 19-1. Captain America 9-0. Omega Sentinel I used more than I thought at 20-0. Hyperion just 1 fight. Tech Doom 1 fight, and Torch 2-1. Overall, solid season. Some deaths I wish I could have had back. See you in the next one.